So studying is something that all of us here have done, correct? That's a rhetorical question, and the answer is obviously yes, because we're college students, and at some point in our lives we have done some sort of studying. As a fellow student, I can relate, and I can say that I've done various amount of studying, and through those studying hours, I can say that it has not been very exciting, and oftentimes it has been quite difficult. That being said, since we spend so much time studying, I think it's beneficial and good for us to have a list of study habits to have in order for us to a list of study habits for us to have in order for us to use our time very productively and make sure we're getting the most out of our learning experiences. So, the two major keys that, from my research and my own personal perspective, towards studying are being focused, number one, and minimizing distractions, and then setting up certain hours for studying or creating a schedule. So, being focused and minimizing distractions. So, the biggest mountain to overcome is often becoming focused. So, we all know that once you get in the groove of studying, it's fairly simple to just keep going, keep grinding. But once you, the hardest part is actually like getting that first initial push, like, hey, let's study, and devoting all your attention towards that studying. So, one of the biggest things on a study from howtostudy.com, which was the 10 basic ways to study, was choosing the right setting. So that can be a coffee shop for some people, the library for some people, and for others, it would be their house. So the coffee shop, they all have their advantages and disadvantages. And so the coffee shop, you can get your caffeine, which keeps you going, gets you motivated, it gets you alert. But there's people going in and out. There's lots of noise, so that's a distraction. The library, on the other hand, there's minimal distractions. But let's say you're not as comfortable, so you get tired of sitting in your chair all day long, but you can't really do much about it. And there's your house where you can be comfortable and you wear your pajamas and do whatever you want. But you also gotta deal with the family making noise and certain things like that. So that leads to distractions in general. So in our technologically savvy world today, we have our main distraction, which is our cell phone. So most researchers say that you should put your phone away, except some will say music is okay. For example, Sophia Costello, in one of her articles for college.usa today, states that music without lyrics has been proven to help with focusing. So that's stuff like classical music, including like Mozart or Bach or any types of artists in that sense. And it has, in their study, they showed that the listening to music without lyrics, it stimulates the same pathways in the brain that Adderall will help with focusing. So it does the same thing as Adderall with less of a effect. So keeping a schedule. So in Brad Zomik's 10 tips to help you with tune out in distractions and focus on your studies, he says that setting a time block for studying is a key. So there's a picture of a schedule up there. It's difficult to see. Sorry due to my poor recording. But he says that you should lay out all your classes, your work, your extracurricular activities on a time schedule by hour. And then the time you have in between, you should use in order to set for your study time. So let's say you have class here, work here, extracurricular, you have to work out here. The time you have in between, you can set for your studying. And so it'll vary. He says the key is to put 2 hours a day, vary based on the individual. But one example he uses is that it's important to make sure you're studying at times where your mind is free. So a specific example he says is that studying an hour before a meeting is not beneficial because let's say you have a big meeting, you have to be prepared for the meeting, and your mind is going to be focused more on the meeting and it's actually beyond your studying, so you're not going to retain that information. And he said it's better to study after the meeting. Even if you might have less time, you'll still remember more things. So that leads us to studying methods. So developing a studying routine is very important, and we all know studying routines, they require studying methods. So these are three methods that I find useful and that they were in the top 10 of these various sites that I found, including the How to Ask and another 10 study habits by Psych Central. So three of the methods were setting up flashcards. So setting up flashcards is a very important way to study, not important, but a very good way to study with memorization especially. So it's a quick and easy tool. You can use Quizlet or you can handwrite your own flashcards. And the way you would do it is let's say you have 5 minutes in between classes, the more you, everyone knows, the more you spend time memorizing things or repeating things, the more likely you are to memorize them in the future. So let's say you have 5 minutes, you can just pull out your flashcards and just read them throughout the day. And the more you read them, the better you'll do on your exam. Secondly, highlighting notes. So we all have big exams where it'll be on 4 chapters of a biology textbook or other various courses. And let's say you take handwritten notes, you'll have about 30 to 40 pages of notes, and that's a lot of pages to go through before an exam. So it's best to, let's say, have those handwritten notes and then highlight through them, where each highlighter will have a different meaning. And then as you go through it, you can highlight the certain things, so when you're studying the day before or a couple days before, you easily zoom through that and it won't have to be 40 pages that you're cramming. And then finally, teaching others. That has been stated to be one of the best ways to retain information better, because if I am able to teach to another fellow student the information that we are learning, that means I have fully grasped the information, and any loopholes that I have forgotten, the other student will help me fill those in. So, in conclusion, the 3 main points that I covered were: pick a method that works best, a study method, whether it be the 3 that I mentioned or any various study methods. There are tons of them out there. Find what works for you. It's a trial and error process. Secondly, create a schedule that you can follow and stay up to date with that schedule. It will help you manage your time and stay focused on your studies. And finally, minimize distractions such as your phone and stay focused. I hope you guys have learned something from this presentation, and thank you for listening.